Follow me in a time machine as we go back to 1962, where many Americans and citizens all over the world sit in front of their TVs and their radios waiting on news of war striking out between Soviet Union and America over missiles being moved into Cuba. But believe it or not, this isn't the first time America has been to war over Cuba. First time was over 60 years previously. Cuba was a colony of Spain, and the Spanish government didn't treat its colonies as well as they would have liked, so the Cubans sought independence from Spain, leading to large riots and revolts of the Spanish government, which led to the destruction of some American sugar plantations. Now, sugar was a big economic product in the Caribbean, and America, one of the leading interests in Cuba was the ability to move and transport that sugar and market it around the world. So when the revolt struck out, it became a very bad blow to these companies, almost driving them to bankruptcy. So these companies decided that they were going to send letters to the government requesting intervention in Cuba to save their American interest. Well, after a while, the American government sent an ambassador to Spain discussing the problems in Cuba, and then leading to Cuba to grant amnesty for Cuba, or the word is autonomy, which was set to begin January of 1898. 11 days after Cuba gained its autonomy, a small riot of Spanish officers broke out in Havana, forcing President McKinley to send the USS Maine to protect American citizens and interest. On February 15th, the Maine sunk in Havana harbor after suffering a massive explosion, which reignited the American public outcry for intervention in Cuba. One of the other things that sparked American outcries is the use of yellow journalism. The U.S. Department of State says the term was coined between major news publishers Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst to refer to their sensationalist style for their profit-driven coverage of world events to sell more papers. Yellow journalism depicted the full-body search of women by Spanish port officers and starving women and children, and this led to many Americans crying out for war. President McKinley could no longer refuse to hear the call for war, and then told the Navy to begin setting up a blockade around Cuba as it prepared for war. But the Navy had been preparing ahead of time. However, the regular U.S. Army consisted of only 28,000 men, and the Congress called for an additional 50,000, but more than 220,000 showed up through the mobilization of the National Guard and volunteers. However, the transportation of troops and supplies to Cuba proved difficult, and they were delayed or not even delivered at all to destinations, leading to even the famous volunteer cavalry unit, the Rough Riders, to be supplied with not even horses on their charge at San Juan Hill. Another of the main problems was disease that struck the forces of a lot of mosquito-borne illnesses that, if you think we have them bad in Texas, it's nothing compared to Cuba. And it struck down more than 75% of the forces in Cuba, and it made them unfit for service. The war only lasted a little over 3 months, was finally ended with the Treaty of Paris in December of 1898 after 2 months of negotiation. The U.S. gained all Spain's colonies outside of Africa in the treaty to which the U.S. gave Cuba its independence in 1902. The war defined the America's role in the world theater as crusaders of democracy, and as a way of peace officers at the world stage when something was the matter, that even holds today. The short war between Spain and America brought the United States out of adolescence and into maturity as it defined itself in front of the world in its strength and diplomatic ability. That's done.